Today I want to share with you a 6-step simple Kaizen process. So this is sort of the 6 steps you're going to cycle through when you're running a Kaizen event, delivering a Kaizen event, or even if you're participating on a team. This is the 6-step process you're going to cycle through, and I'll be talking about that in this video. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Chad, and I want to thank you for returning as a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, I really appreciate your support. But if you're not a subscriber, I want to encourage you to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below, because I share things around Lean and Six Sigma, Kaizen specifically, and root cause analysis that are going to help you improve the businesses you work. Or if you're a consultant, or so maybe you're a business owner, then these types of videos are going to help the people that work for you as well. So you might want to share some of these tips and tricks with them, or even share the videos. That's fine as well. You can share the links to these videos, but they're going to help the people, empower those people so they can help make your business better, because it's going to make them stronger as employees. So you make sure you subscribe to this channel. Now, today we're talking about Kaizen events. All right, I've been really building up on Kaizens because I think, when it comes to trying to fix problems in a business, I love Kaizens, because whether it's a problem or an improvement, you can use a Kaizen. And it doesn't always have to be an event, which I'm not going to go to in this video. I'll do that in another video. Oftentimes we think of Kaizens as these long events, but that turns a lot of people away from them. But you don't have to do a 3 to 5 day event. Kaizen's gonna be really quick and simple. But in any case, you're usually gonna go through this simple process I'm gonna share with you today in this video. Again, it's 6 steps, really easy. Let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is to identify a problem or an opportunity or an improvement, right? So either a problem or an improvement. And in order to know that, we need to know what the standard is. So first of all, if you don't have a standard, create the standard. But once you have a standard in place, now you know if you're getting better than that standard, or if you're falling from that standard, or you're having a problem, right? Now, if you're getting better than that standard, this is often where we use Kaizens, is continuously improving, right? We're getting better than that standard, creating a new standard. I've gone over this in other videos. But I also want you to think about problems as well in a Kaizen sort of arena, because they are. You can use a Kaizen event on a problem to rapidly improve that problem, or to rapidly fix that problem. And sometimes we don't think of it that way, or sometimes we do, but we don't understand why. I thought that continuous improvement meant Kaizen, or Kaizen meant to continuously improve. Why would we use a Kaizen event to fix a problem? And I understand what you're saying, but let's think about it. When you have a problem, you're falling from standard, right? Assuming you have a standard. If you fix that problem, you resolve it, and you get back to standard, and you don't get better than the standard that you had, well, you're just getting back to the same situation that caused you to have the problem in the first place. So this is where you can use a Kaizen to, yes, get back to standard, but improve on that standard. Use PFMEAs, other tools that you can use to get better than that standard, creating a better standard so that you don't get back into the same situation that caused you to have the problem to begin with. So when you start thinking about it that way, but the first thing you're gonna have to do is identify a problem or an opportunity. The second step we're gonna do is analyze the process. Now, once we've identified the opportunity, we have to analyze the current situation, right? What's happening with the current process that we have. This is where we pull some data in, we do some data analytics, look at and see what's happening with the data, if we can identify any type of trends. But you want to analyze the current state or the current situation you're in. One of the biggest things we need to do in this step 2, analyzing the process, is we have to go to the Gemba. Now, going to the Gemba means going to the actual place where the work's being done. So you're going to the actual place where the work is being done. Some people say it's actual parts, actual people, actual place. There's different things you can call it, but the Gemba is where the work's being created. In other words, we cannot fix the problem in this step, or we can't fix the problem throughout any of these steps if we don't go out to where the situation's happening, go see what's happening, listen, see for ourselves, ask questions. We have to go to the Gemba and do some sort of interview, right? An interview can be just watching, but think about if someone, imagine if someone was, it's morbid I know, but if someone was murdered, right? You don't think the investigator who's investigating that murder would just do it from his office, right? Research on Google or try to solve it in a room with a bunch of police officers or investigators. No, they'd have to actually go to the crime scene, right? And when you think of the same thing, when you think about the Gemba, you have to actually go to the scene where the accident happened, so that you can start gathering as much data as possible, albeit qualitative and quantitative data. That's what you need to be gathering, and to understand fully what's happening with the process and the situation that happened, which caused the situation to go bad. So this is what you need to do if you're trying to improve the process, or if there was a problem that happened with the process. And step 3 is to develop an optimal solution. So when you start looking at the data in step 2, you're gonna start seeing some trends, you're gonna start seeing some things that resonate. And from there, you're gonna come up with some solutions. But you don't want to just select any solution, right? Because you want to make sure you're selecting the optimal solution, the one that's going to have the biggest impact on the process. And to do that, you need to make sure you're using the right tools. Now, there's a ton of tools you can use for this. You can use the affinity tool. You can use the impact effort matrix. These are just a couple. But you want to make sure that you're not making this decision on your own. You want to make sure you're pulling people in to help you make this decision, whether you do some sort of prioritization matrix, however you do that, and you're ranking these types of solutions and you're saying, okay, which ones do we want to implement? It should be a team effort. It should not be done by one person or two people. It should be a real team effort. But in step 3, that's what you're doing. You're trying to develop an optimal solution. And in step 4, you want to implement that solution. And again, this is going to be a team effort. You might break off into teams. It depends on how big the team is and how big the issue is or the improvement is that you're trying to fix. The point here is you want to make sure you're bringing the team together, and it's a team event. You're all implementing the solution together. You want to make sure that if there's any materials that need to be ordered to implement the solution, that's happening. This is where you might break off and to go order materials, to go purchase materials. It depends on how fast you're trying to get this done. But make sure it's a team effort. And step 5 is you want to study the results and then make adjustments if needed. So once you implement the optimal solution, right, you've just tried out that solution. It's in place. It might work. It might not give you the results you were looking for. And so if it made some improvement, that's great. But if it didn't give you the real big improvement that you were looking for, in other words, if it was just marginal, then you might need to go back and try some other things. But you're going to have to analyze data to do that. So whatever the process is that you're trying to fix or trying to improve, you'd want to measure the data, whether it's through SBC charts, CPK data, or CP data, which is process capability indices. You can do it that way, or there's going to be a ton of data that you can look at, right? It depends on the situation you're trying to fix or improve. You want to make sure you're looking at that data to make sure that your expectations for the solution that you implemented is actually working. And step 6, you're going to standardize that solution. And remember we talked about that standardized process, right? You have you have a standard, and either you fall from standard because you have a problem or you got better than standard. Here, you want to make sure if you fix the problem, you get better than the original solution or the original standard, and then you re-standardize that process and you make the new standard, which is going to be better than the previous standard. Now, if it's an improvement, it's the same way. You want to make sure you elevate and you document the standard, train people on that standard, and make sure that that standard is now part of the process. And once you have the standardized solution in place, you are pretty much wrapped up and finished. Now, that's the 6 easy steps. There is one more step I'd like to add, which might make it number 7. You don't just want to walk away from that, right? Once you implement the solution, because remember, usually these events are done pretty quickly, 3 to 5 days. So in 5 days, you're not gathering a lot of data. I would always suggest that you go 90 days out. And it also depends on how many parts you're making per day. If you're making thousands of parts per day, maybe you can get it done in a day and just monitor it for 3 days and make sure that the solution that you implemented is sustained. If you're not making that many parts a day, like in aerospace, we didn't make that many parts when I worked for Rolls-Royce. So you would have to monitor it longer, like 90 days out, to make sure that the new standard that you implemented with the solution that you implemented is actually sustainable. So you make sure that thing is sustainable over time. And you can do it again with CP and CPK data, but definitely there's going to be some statistics involved, basic statistics, nothing that's crazy or extraordinary. You wouldn't even need Minitab for this. You could do this in Excel, but you want to make sure you're monitoring that over time. So I would add that as a bonus or a 7th tip to make sure that you're monitoring that process over time to make sure it's sustainable. And folks, that is the process. Now, this isn't just my process. This is the normal process you would do when you're doing a Kaizen event, 6-step process. Now, the 7th one, I kind of added in there, but this is what you would do when you're running a Kaizen event and delivering that Kaizen event, if you want it to make sure that it's sustainable and successful, which I'm assuming that you want. Now, if you want to make sure that your next event is your best event, make sure you grab my Kaizen blueprint. There will be a link in the description below. Go down there, click the link. It'll take you over to a sign-up page, and then you can download that 14 or 15 page blueprint, completely free, yours for just hanging out with me in this video. Make sure you download it, and I will see you all in the next video.